So bring us up to speed, Eric. What are you seeing there?
David, good morning. It's just daybreak here in Florida, so the damage assessment will begin in earnest now that we can see what happened. Where I am in Orlando, it doesn't appear that things were nearly as bad as anyone feared. We do know that there was terrible flooding in Miami, of course, devastation potentially in the Florida Keys, bad damage for certain in places like Naples and Fort Myers on the southwestern Florida coast. But as you move up the state, it gets better because the winds subsided yesterday and overnight. And while they're still pretty strong here, they're not strong enough to be snapping limbs. Downtown Orlando still has power. I can see it from where I'm sitting right now. It's immediately the concern shifts to public infrastructure. We know that, in fact, I just saw that the Florida Division of Emergency Management has updated the number of Florida households without power. It's now about 5.8 million. And of course, that number is going to rise. We don't know what the damage yet to the ports in Tampa and elsewhere on the West Coast are. So that is the situation at the moment. Like I say, the big question mark remains just how damaging was this storm. We know it did damage. It probably didn't do $200 billion of damage. How much damage did it do? Is it 25? Is it 50? At this point, it's pretty impossible to tell.
Yeah, it seems to be a little bit of a sigh of relief, particularly in the markets right now, about what happened. But is there any danger, Eric, as far as you can tell, about a delayed reaction? I remember in Katrina down in New Orleans, we thought it was all okay, and then the storm surge came in. What about the storm surge up in Tampa Bay?
Of course, that it remains a concern, but the NOAA and the National Hurricane Center, a part of the NOAA, have, over the course of the night, have been dropping the size of the expected storm surge. At one point, it was 15 feet, and it is possible, again, I don't have confirmed figures yet, that places like Naples or Marco Island did see a storm surge of that level. But Tampa, we spoke to the mayor of Tampa earlier today, clearly did not get the magnitude of a surge, the kind of surge that he had feared. There are parts of Tampa that would have been covered in water overnight that remain dry. So they seem to be fairly confident that the worst is over. And if Tampa escaped the worst, then that's certainly a good thing, because as the storm shifted westward and Miami was no longer the target, Tampa became the big question mark for commercial property losses and ultimately public infrastructure damage, because Tampa St. Pete's is the largest the metropolitan center in Western Florida.